Keyonte George shows all the skills again. All the skills. Can he ever put it together into a consistent player? We dig in next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 pow.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps and on YouTube. Plus, we've got the free daily newsletter, Locked on Jazz, at Locked on Daily. Get the Jazz in your inbox each and every day for free. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Everydayers. You're the best. To all you making this your first listen, appreciate it. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You can get into the action tonight with FanDuel. New customers can get $250 in bonus bets when you make your first $5 bet. On today's show, we will look at the Wild Wild West. Both teams that needed to win last night lost. So there are 5 teams sitting with 32 losses, and we'll do our Trends Monday as always. We'll dig in deep on Keyonte George. A weird little note about what happens after he has good games. We'll see if he can break that, and we'll dig in to whether last night's game was just an all-star game where Keyonte went off, or is there something a little bit more to it? We'll dig into last night's game, which had all-star game level defense with some data, but we'll really dig in on that 35-point career-high performance by Keyonte George. All right, first thing, a bunch of things we got to get set for this conversation. Keyonte will play his 140th game of his NBA career on Wednesday. 140th. It's still so early. I am a big believer that year one, everybody in the league comes in. I talked to Alec Burks for a while about this year. Everyone comes in, and I'm going to be a 24-point a night NBA All-Star ass kicker. And then they get their ass kicked, and they come back, and they think they're still going to be a 24-point a night NBA All-Star, scoring every time, doing all the same things. And they come back, and they actually, in the offseason, what they work on is everything where they got destroyed, and they come back, and they get destroyed at those things again. And in the offseason between year 2 and year 3, which is where Keyonte is about to head, is actually the offseason which determines who you are as a player. And you either come back physically stronger, bigger, and better, and add some skills, or you refine the skills that you know are going to make you really, really good. And Keyonte can do that, and he needs to add 1 or 2 things. And if he does that, then yeah, Keyonte's a viable, really especially talented guard in the NBA. And yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. Some of the last 2 years has been infuriating watching this young player develop and at times look selfish and at times pout and at times not figure out how to run the offense when he's not a point guard. All of those things. But it's also been a pretty miserable environment to learn. If he'd been around 4 really good players, I think it'd be a lot easier for him. So it's been hard. And he shows these flashes like last night and these moments. And there just aren't that many guys who can do this. There are guys who can drop 30. Everybody can drop 30. But there's a little bit of the way he drops 30. The off the bounce 3, the catch and shoot 3, the athleticism, the turning the corner on the left-hand drive to the basket, finishing left hand, the turning the corner on a right-hand drive and finishing with his right hand, the ability to get shots off. There's a bunch of pieces to this puzzle that are really special and that can be put together. And there's probably the first and foremost thing that has to happen for Keyonte George is self-reflection and maturity. And those go together. An understanding of, oh, I'm not very good at this, I need to get better at it. Or I'm not very good at this, get rid of it. As Will Hardy said the other day in a press conference, stop telling on yourself. So let's look at Keyonte last night. Last night, Keyonte was pretty sick. Was it just because last night was an all-star game? 147, 134, no defense. So last night, Keyonte went 5 of 6 against tight defense. Okay, Keyonte takes 6 shots a night against a defender within 2 to 4 feet. That might be the first thing he might want to change. Right? Like, he shoots 32% on those when those are threes, and overall he shoots about 32% on those shots. Okay, that would probably be the first one. Like when we talk about what do you want to get off the ball in that circumstance. Now, there have been times where Keyonte, like last night, along with Colin, is probably our primary scorer. So it's awfully hard to say get off the ball. But there is some level of be ready to move it. Don't always get it with 6 seconds on the shot clock and decide you're the one who has to do it. That's a really tough way to live. So I do think there's something to that with Keyonte. Like, there's the first one. Last night, he took 6 shots with really, really tight defense on him. And guess what? He made 5 of them. That's 2 to 4 tight defense. That's not a livable manner. So that's a unique night, but he's also not going to score 35 every night. Keyonte, for the season with a close defender from 2 to 4 feet. Sorry, one of my notes here is wrong on this. He shoots 35%, which is really good with 2 to 4 feet defenders. Overall, on his 2-point shots, he only shoots 41%. Okay, well, it's going to be hard to get those shots otherwise. When Keyonte gets an open 3 from 4 to 6 feet, he shoots 37%. And when Keyonte gets a wide open 3, this is the funky one, he only shoots 32%. That's where I had it backwards. So there's the first fix. Okay? When you start to dig in on Keyonte, why on wide open 3s is this guy only shooting 32%? Because on 4 to 6 feet open 3s, 37% is about the league average. It's pretty good. It's right on like Paul George numbers. And 2 to 4 feet, 35% is really good. But his biggest weakness is a wide open 3 at 32%. Okay, that's fixable. That's fundamentals. That's concentration. That's digging in. And interestingly, last night, he's 5 of 6 with a tight defender on him. He usually gets 6 a game. He gets 9 shots last night with 4 to 6 feet. It's classified as open. That's about 4 more than he usually gets. He goes 4 of 9, 4 of 7 on 3s. And he got 3 shots wide open is what he usually gets, actually. He gets about 3 shots a game on wide open looks. About 2. He gets about 2 shots a game. He got 3 last night. So when you look at Keyonte's night last night, he didn't like get 12 wide open 3s and bust all of them and make all of them and suddenly say, well, it's just because it was an all-star game. He did get more 4 to 6 feet wide open shots than he usually gets. As I said, he usually gets about 5 of those a game, and he got 9. That's a big difference. But he only made 4 of 9. He did kind of what he usually does on that. A little 44%, which is a little better than his season average, which is 40%. His tight defensive shots, 5 of 6 from the field on tight defenders, which he usually takes, is what changed last night. The other thing that changed ever so subtly last night was he got 5 corner 3s. I believe he made 2 of them last night. Keyonte George is one of the best corner 3 shooters in the NBA. Keyonte needs to get to the corner more. Keyonte needs to get to spots. The skills are all there. The refinement is Keyonte playing out of spots and places. So, for example, this year on corner 3s, Keyonte George is 36 of 72 from 3. That's 50%. And last night, he got 4 from the right corner. He missed the 1 from the left corner. He was 2 of 5. Okay, that's 40%. That's normal night. But that's a nice distribution for him to go be taking 5 corner 3s. He takes 8 above the break 3s last night. He hits 5 of them. That's unnatural. He regularly, on above the break 3s, shoots about 33%, which is not great. We'll dig into it in a second. It's a little low, 32, 33%. So he should have made 2 or 3 of those last night, depending on if he's, and then that changes the night attainment. So he got hot. But there are some things in this night of the way he plays and what he does that could lead to an answer for him being that efficient player. And we'll look at it as we continue on today's edition of Locked On Jazz. The Monday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Chevy, located in Woods Cross, also in Logan. The Murdoch family, just incredible. They've done so many things in Utah. They want to be a part of the community. They are a part of the community, and they want to make sure that you have a no regrets experience. That's everything and means everything to Blake. I go back to during COVID, when I was spending some time with Blake, and everyone's upcharging. And I was like, why aren't you doing this? And he's like, because at some point, this is going to be over. And I'm going to go to a grocery store and see people and go to church and see people. And I don't want them to think, wow, he took $2,000 extra dollars from me during the pandemic. That's the kind of people you're dealing with. The Murdochs and the Chevy trucks are amazing. You've got the Silverado and the Colorado. They're the all-American perfect truck. The Silverado is just the killer. The big, powerful truck. The Colorado more zippy. And the great SUV lineup highlighted by the Suburban and the Tahoe. It's all at Murdoch Chevy, located in Woods Cross and in Logan. Email me first if you're heading out to Murdoch Chevy and getting your VIP treatment. I'll set you up with a VIP treatment. Email me at dlock09@gmail.com. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. I have a funny story about Monarch Money. So when Monarch Money joined us as a client, we all got offered a free account. I said, nah, that's all right. I don't need. So then I started doing the ad reads, and then I started looking at my life, and I was like, yeah, this would actually be super valuable with all the food I eat on the road and travel and da-da-da. So now I'm using Monarch Money, and it's great. I'm just could have had a free account and didn't, which might be the best example of like why I needed to use Monarch Money. So Monarch Money is like your personal CFO, giving you the visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's kind of a complete financial command center. It tracks your accounts, your investments, spending all in one place. So you stop by just and look at how you're managing money, and you can see where things are going. You get little insights. You have the all-in-one convenience in one app, and you can actually collaborate with your wife or partner as well. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's what I did at Monarch Money to get 50% off your first year. So I at least got 50% off my first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA. Half off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Why did I admit that story? Who knows? Because I tell you guys everything about my life for no particular good reason. It is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast in the Utah Jazz. We've got the Locked On Jazz newsletter during the offseason, free agency, trades, draft prospects. We'll have it all for you there. We'll break it all down. It'll be awesome. Make sure you sign up at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and get your Locked On Jazz free newsletter into your inbox. So Keyonte George goes 10 of 19 last night, 7 of 13 from 3, and has a monster game. Took advantage of Trae Young a little bit. In it. By the way, last night's game, 147-134. Atlanta regularly gets 21 wide open threes a game, and they had 24. They usually make 8 out of 21. Instead, they made 13 out of 24. So some of that was just ridiculous. They usually get 13 open threes from 4 to 6 feet. They got 15. So the Jazz gave up an extra 5 kind of wide open shots, so 1 a quarter basically. But the crazy one is what the Hawks did with them. The Hawks went 21 of 39 on open threes last night. They on a season average, they would generally go about 12 of 34. So they were that was silly. The Jazz, actually, the ones who had way more open shots than they regularly do, the Jazz who get about 16 wide open threes a night had 25 last night. And they hit 9. And then their 4 to 6 feet wide open threes, the Jazz had 18, which is what they usually get. So the Jazz were actually the benefactor of a lack of defense last night, even more so than Atlanta. It did feel like an all-star game, and there was a serious lack of defense last night. All right, let's look at Keyonte just making some steps. Here's the first thing that has to happen, and this is not that easy. But Keyonte doesn't go to the rim or doesn't shoot at the rim. And this happens to a lot of young players. Isaiah Collier's actually done a pretty impressive job of kind of figuring this out throughout the year. So what happens early in your career is you start going to the rim in the NBA. You've been taller and more athletic than every player you've ever played in your entire life. And you start going to the rim in the NBA and you get swatted. And then you just stop going to the rim. And that's where Keyonte is right now. Keyonte George takes 14% of his shots at the rim. That's what he did last night. He took 3 shots at the rim on his 19 attempts, about 15%. That's in the 14th percentile of all guards. That makes for a very difficult route to efficiency. If you're not getting some shots at the rim every night, and if we go piece together 100 shots by Keyonte, he would take 51 of them as threes. He would take 6 of them as long twos. He would take 29 of his 100 shots as floaters, and he would only take 13 of his 100 shots at the rim. And if you really want to dig into it even another level, what he'd really do is he would take 43% of his shots as above the break threes, where he only shoots 32%. He would then take the next 29 shots as little floaters, where he only shoots 41%. So if you put those two together, the first of the 100 shots Keyonte gets, the first 72 of the 100 are shots where he shoots combined about 35%. Okay, well, if you're going to get up to 45% where you need to be as a guard just overall, well, one, you're going to have to shift that a little bit, but that doesn't have a huge shift to do. Floaters there, 41% is kind of league average, a little less, 44% is league average. And above the break threes, league average is 35 or 36%. He's at 33. We'll dig into that in a second. So you've got to start getting just better shots and better distribution to be an efficient offensive player. When the highest percentage shots you can take are a rim shot and you're only taking 13 of 100 shots there, and you're one of the great corner three shooters in the NBA at 50%, and you're only taking 8 of 100 shots there, well, then this gets hard. He's only taking 21 of his 100 shots in places where he's really, really good. The other thing he's really, really, really good at is transition threes. I think I posted last night, he's either 20 of 42 or 20. I'd have to check what I posted last night. If you follow me on socials at DLock09, on transition threes, he's one of the best in the NBA. He's 20 of 44 on transition threes, 45%. Last I checked, he was 10th best in the NBA on transition threes. So run the floor, get open early, and jack that shot. That transition three is a good shot, particularly considering the other ones. Run the floor and get to the rim twice too. So some of that's hustle and commitment to that. Run the floor. Play off the ball. I think maybe the most important thing. Don't go back for the ball all the time. Trust your teammates. Run the floor. Get out in front. You're a great above the break, or you're a great transition three shooter, and you're a great corner three shooter. So run the floor early in transition to see if you get an early look. Get to the corner, fill the corner, get the rotated pass, or get the ball and get to the rim. That would be the first part. And if he has to stop, if we can make it so he doesn't come back for the ball as the point guard, that would be super helpful. So the 14% of shots at the rim, 12th percentile's got to change. But he's really close on a lot of things. Okay. Just the idea he shoots 50% on standstill corner threes means he can shoot. Means that fundamentally he can shoot. He and Chris Jones have worked awfully hard. They've got his fundamentals down. He can make that shot. It's a small sample size. And so is the transition three, but he's gone from 36% on corner threes to 51%. It's a noticeable change. It's a small sample size. We're seeing what happens with small sample size with Filipowski right now. We're suddenly his small sample size is skewing the other direction. So let's be a little careful with it, but there's something there. On the above the break three, he's making 32% this year, which is down from 35 last year. Last year, he shot the off the bounce three really well. This year, he's not shooting it as well. Okay. The best in the league's Ant at 40, and then Curry at 39, and Lillard at 38. I'm not expecting Keyonte George to be a Hall of Famer. So what's the next tier? Donovan shoots 36% on above the break threes. James Harden shoots 35, Hall of Famer. Doncic, Hall of Famer, 36%. Tatum, 34%. Brandon Miller, 37%. Those are the most high volume, above the break, three-point shooters in the NBA. So Keyonte needs to make 3 more in the 100 he takes. I think that's just going to happen with natural time and shot selection. I really do. I think his shot selection is horrendous. I think his ego cashes checks that his jumper can't. It's really the only way I can say it. He believes in himself so much that he takes shots that I think are truly ill-advised. And he thinks they're going to go in. He also gets stuck. I do think he gets stuck with a large amount of shot clock shots. But Keyonte takes 6.5 above the break threes a game. Devin Booker takes the same amount at 33%. Fred VanVleet at 35%. Trey Murphy the third at 34%. Emmanuel Quickley at 38%. That's pretty good. There is a little level that the guys who are down at 6 seem to be a little bit more efficient. They're picking their spots. That's probably, so really almost Keyonte could drop this thing when he starts playing with better players to 5.5 a game. Gets to be Jamal Murray now, who's up 40% there. Paul George is at 38%. You've got to up it up. Jordan's one of the least good at 35. Like, you got to be up. When you're suddenly when you're not taking the 8 and 9 and 10 we just talked about, and you're on this other tier, you've got to be better than 33%, right? So of the guys, if we look at, like, I could take the negative approach here, which I don't really want to do, but if you go and take the top 50 guys in the NBA who go and take above the break threes, and they take more than 5 a game, which is Keyonte, then his percentage is one of the lowest in the league, right? So the 60 guys in the league that take above 5, above the break threes in the league, Franz Wagner, 28, Jalen Suggs, 30, Miles Bridges, 30, Shaedon Sharpe, 30, De'Aaron Fox, 30, Malik Monk, 30%, D'Angelo Russell, 32, Keyonte George, 32. All right. So yeah, that's not great. But also, like, the amount of guys that are up over, there are only 6 guys over 40. So you want to be able to, can you get yourself into the 30? Anthony Simons, 36.7. Austin Reeves, 36.7. Brandon Miller, 36.5. Cam Thomas, 36.5. Tyler Hero, 36.5. That range. Cade Cunningham, 36%. Yeah, that's making 3 more out of 100. And to me, that's shot selection. It's being a little more refined on shot selection. He's also bad on each angle. I know his right angle we talked about last time has gotten much better, but he's 29% on the year on the right angle and 31% on the left angle. I'm going to guess there's some fundamentals there that just need to be fixed. So there's pieces there of this puzzle that I do think come together in year 3. The skill level is just ridiculous. The variety of the ways that he scores, right? We're talking about this above the break, the corner 3, the transition 3, the off the bounce 3. Like, there's just, okay. The driving to the basket, he's actually gotten pretty good. He's drawing fouls. The biggest change for Keyonte since coming off the bench, and which is where maybe coming off the bench is the right answer, is he gets to play in the bonus. And Keyonte has now played the same amount of games as a starter and a reserve. And as a starter in 32 games, he took 112 free throws. And as a reserve, he took 161. It's a massive difference. Everything else is virtually the same across the board. His usage rate, all those other things, except for the fact that he's going to the free throw line nearly 33% more than he did as a starter. His shooting percentage is virtually the exact same, 39 to 40. His three-point shooting is the exact same. His true shooting percentage, though, goes from 53 to 56. His usage is virtually the exact same. So he's learned how to get little fouls, get on his way to the basket. The next step is getting strong enough to complete those drives and actually get shots at the rim. The West is wild. Wild, 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 wild. There's 5 teams with the same amount of losses, and the difference between this playoffs and play-in, and it's crazy, and we're talking about it next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by FanDuel. You can get into the action tonight with a big, huge bonus for the final night of the NCAA tournament. You can get in the action for the NBA playoffs. All sorts of great opportunities for you at FanDuel. Here's the deal right now with FanDuel. If you win your first $5 bet, you get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes it easy picking your favorite team, driving player props. Whether it's 3 points, steals, or assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, game tips off, you still got live bets you can do. Same day parlays for a big chance to win. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com to get your $250 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com for $250 in bonus bets. The spread for tonight's March Madness, they've got an interesting little parlay up. You can bet Florida plus 8.5, Houston plus 6.5. So you have alternate spreads, and then various over-unders throughout the game to try to win. Pretty interesting little things. The Masters, it's right around the corner. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm are the 3 favorites. Really, Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler at a different level than everyone else. Florida, Houston tonight. Florida is a 1.5-point favorite to take down the never-dying Cougs, and NBA action, a bunch of good ones tonight as well. Boston is in New York and a 3-point favorite, and Major League Baseball going for you as well. It's all at FanDuel.com. Thanks so much for tuning into Locked On Jazz. Every Monday, we like to do Trends Monday, but the standings are the trends right now in the West, at least. It's too bad that we're not a part of this because this is wild. And I was talking to Alan Horton, the Timberwolves play-by-play announcer, and they're on the edge of their seat. It's funny, the last night of the year, when we go to Minnesota, we might really want to win because we have a chance to push Minnesota into the play-in. And then if something wacky happened in the play-in, who knows? Minnesota gets knocked out, we get more lottery balls. All right, here's where it sits in the West, and then we can do trends in a second. Denver, Clippers, Warriors, Wolves, Grizzlies all have 32 losses. Denver has 1 more win. Denver's lost 7 of 10 and 4 in a row ever since that game to Minnesota. That crazy double overtime game, Minnesota swinging this whole thing. Minnesota's come out of that one 5 in a row. Denver had to play a back-to-back where they rested guys and lost. They're still tired. They have not recovered. Houston's going to be the 2 seed. The Lakers would have to do something stupid to not be the 3 seed. The Lakers have a real straight line path to the Western Conference Finals, by the way. And LeBron James and Luka Doncic versus Oklahoma City is going to be insane. That's really how it's feeling right now. Now, here's what we got late. Denver plays 2 games against teams that want to win. Sacramento and Memphis. They close the year at Indiana, but Indiana is going to be set by then. So Indiana is 3 games up on the 4 seed and 3 games back on the 3 seed. So Indiana will not need to win on the final game of the season. Denver plays Sac and Memphis. They win those next 2. They probably don't lose. There's 3 teams that aren't going to lose here. Golden State plays Phoenix, San Antonio, and Portland in the next 3. None of them are trying to win. Phoenix is done. They close with the Clippers at home. The Clippers play the Spurs, who aren't trying to win, the Rockets, who don't need to win, the Kings, who are, and the Warriors. Whoever wins that final Golden State Clipper game probably doesn't lose. Memphis plays Charlotte, who doesn't need to win or isn't care to win. Then they play Minnesota and Denver back-to-back, and they play Dallas. I suspect they lose 2, and they slide back to the 8th spot. Now, they've won 2 in a row, and they're Memphis, so you never know. And finally, Minnesota has the easiest route. They play Milwaukee, who has to play a little bit because Detroit's nipping at their heels for the 5-6 matchup, but it's not the end of the earth. It's not the end of the world. They'd rather probably be healthy. Memphis, big game. And then they close with Brooklyn and Utah, two teams that are not trying to win late. So it is interesting. So I think if any of these teams, Denver, Golden State, Clippers, Memphis, Minnesota, lose, you're in the play-in. I suspect that Minnesota, the Clippers in Denver, or Minnesota, the Warriors in Denver, one of those three, do not lose a game. So if you lose one of your final 3 or 4 games, you're in the play-in. The Warriors-Clippers game on the final day of the season will be something else. And I suspect Memphis loses both. And if that's not the case, then that changes everything. But if Memphis loses both, then they go to 8. And then the other team that loses a game goes to 7. So the Warriors-Clippers game on the final day of the season really might be the difference between playing for 4 or 5, probably 5 or 7. If there's a tiebreaker involving Minnesota and Denver, Minnesota's beat Denver 4 times this year. So Denver will lose the tiebreaker and Minnesota will win it. Like if there's a 3-team tiebreaker, Minnesota wins it, almost promised. All right. That's where we sit. That's the wild, wild west. That's your Trends Monday. There's not this fake basketball that's going on right now. Doesn't need trends. We'll look at it. We'll look at it tomorrow just to see if there's anything interesting. That is Locked On Jazz. Thank you very much for tuning in. Interesting notes tomorrow on how Keyonte bounces back follows good games. That'll be a next step for him. We'll look at that tomorrow. Plus some of the other things going on with the Jazz. So we get 2 days off before the Wednesday matchup with Portland celebrating Dan Roberts in his career. Maybe we'll see if we can get Dan on the show this week. All right, that wraps it up. This is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Follow me on socials at DLock09. And then also follow our newsletter at Locked On Daily and subscribe to the program and hit the bell button on YouTube. We now send you the first ever national 24/7 channel, Locked On NBA, on YouTube. Also on audio, check out Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night.